Imagine this moment clearly. You're standing at the edge of a busy intersection, lost in thought, unaware of the speeding car hurtling toward you. A sudden screech of brakes violently slices through the air. Your pulse quickens, your vision narrows sharply, adrenaline floods your veins, and time itself seems to slow almost to a standstill. In those elongated seconds, every detail crystallizes. The blinding glare of headlights, the smell of burning rubber, the heart-racing certainty of imminent impact. You brace yourself instinctively, knowing it's too late. Yet suddenly, impossibly, the car swerves, missing you by mere centimeters, leaving only the wind and a wave of relief in its wake. Your knees buckle slightly as you realize you're unharmed. Breathing rapidly, your heart pounding fiercely, you're aware of having stood at the very brink of existence and stepping miraculously away. You survived when survival seemed impossible. Was it luck or something infinitely more profound? What if I told you science suggests this astonishing moment of survival might be evidence of an incredible truth? You literally cannot experience your own death. Quantum immortality, a radical idea emerging directly from the many worlds theory proposed by physicist Hugh Everett, suggests exactly that. According to Everett, each event, each decision, splits reality into countless parallel worlds, branching endlessly like the limbs of a cosmic tree. In some worlds, you perish, yet in others, miraculously, you survive. And here's the astonishing part. Your subjective consciousness will only ever experience the realities where survival occurs. From your perspective, you never face an endpoint. You continuously awaken, always finding yourself alive, no matter how unlikely. Max Tegmark, a celebrated physicist, brilliantly illustrated this concept through a daring thought experiment known as quantum suicide. Picture yourself sitting before a machine triggered randomly by a quantum event, a 50-50 chance of death each time it activates. Common sense suggests that eventually you'd perish, yet quantum immortality boldly asserts otherwise. Tegmark explained vividly, each activation splits reality, and observers in other branches might witness your demise, but your conscious self inevitably experiences survival. Each click leaves you astonished, yet undeniably alive. Your awareness always persists, miraculously shifting to the reality where life continues. Now, it's true physicists like Sean Carroll emphasize each version of you becomes distinct individuals inhabiting separate realities. Yet the compelling implication remains, your subjective awareness, the awareness experiencing this very moment, never genuinely confronts its termination. Death, from your conscious viewpoint, becomes an impossibility. Can you grasp the magnitude of this realization? If you genuinely believed that your awareness was fundamentally indestructible, how radically would your perspective on life shift? Consider carefully, would fear of failure or loss still paralyze you? Would you hesitate in pursuing dreams, passions, or genuine love, knowing that the core of who you are always continues forward? The quantum immortality perspective doesn't encourage recklessness. It invites a profoundly courageous approach to existence. When death loses its power to terrify you, each moment becomes precious yet liberated from fear. You begin living not cautiously but boldly, with fierce authenticity and fearless passion. And this life-changing possibility is precisely what you'll explore, understand, and integrate as we move forward. Because once you grasp deeply that your subjective consciousness cannot cease, your life will never be the same again. Have you ever heard a story so extraordinary, so inexplicable, that it challenges everything you believe about reality itself? Let me share with you the incredible life of Franz Selak, an ordinary Croatian music teacher who experienced an extraordinary journey. Over several decades, Selak faced death repeatedly, 7 astonishing encounters with fate, each one seemingly impossible to survive. He escaped a train that derailed into an icy river, emerged alive from a plane crash where he was ejected into a haystack, survived 2 separate fiery car explosions, was hit by a bus and walked away, and even drove his car off a cliff, miraculously saved by catching a tree branch midway down. Each incident alone defies statistical probability. Collectively, they verge on the impossible. For Salak, survival became so consistent that he himself marveled at it. His reality seemed fundamentally different from others. He later confessed it felt like the universe itself conspired to keep him alive, continuously shifting around him. And just to underline the surreal nature of his story, at the age of 74, he even won the lottery, as though fate itself was winking playfully in his direction. Salak's extraordinary tale resonates profoundly with countless others who've encountered near-death experiences. Consider the vivid account of a young man named Liam who survived a devastating motorcycle crash. He recalled clearly feeling the inevitable moment of impact, darkness descending, then suddenly waking unharmed, perplexed, yet intact. But something subtle had changed. Familiar street signs appeared altered, old scars vanished from his skin. Liam felt as if he had slipped quietly into another reality, his consciousness finding a world where he miraculously survived. Stories like Liam's are echoed repeatedly online, where individuals describe subtle yet undeniable shifts after close brushes with death. Small changes in personal details, memories, or surroundings, as though they've awakened in a subtly altered reality. These individuals profoundly sense they've somehow jumped universes, awakening into the reality where their consciousness persisted. Yet what's most compelling about these accounts isn't just their strangeness, but the emotional transformation survivors describe afterward. Overwhelmingly, these survivors emerge from their encounters liberated from life's deepest fear, the fear of death itself. They speak passionately of finally living fully, seizing every moment fearlessly, no longer held hostage by anxiety or uncertainty. Once they've glimpsed the possibility their consciousness endures beyond near death, their perspective shifts dramatically. Each day becomes precious, each decision fearless, each relationship embraced wholeheartedly. But here's the remarkable truth. You don't need to personally endure catastrophe to experience this profound liberation. Even those who've conquered severe illness frequently report feeling they've been gifted a second life, one stripped entirely of fear. They no longer waste precious days on trivial concerns, instead passionately pursuing meaningful goals, authentic relationships, and genuine adventures. They've internalized a powerful insight. Subjectively, death is something consciousness never truly encounters. Reflect now, carefully and honestly, how differently would you live if you embraced this powerful truth deeply? If you genuinely believed your conscious experience could never end, would you hesitate another moment in pursuing your dreams, in expressing your truth, in risking genuine love and connection? These survivor stories aren't merely fascinating anecdotes. They carry a transformative lesson. When you internalize deeply the possibility that your subjective awareness is fundamentally immortal, fear itself loses its power over your life. As you proceed, carry this realization close. You are always existing in the reality where your consciousness persists. Every heartbeat is proof of this astonishing truth. You're fundamentally immortal from your subjective viewpoint. In embracing this extraordinary knowledge, you finally find freedom from the fear that limits your fullest, most courageous existence. Consider for a moment your deepest, most private fears, the anxieties that silently shape your decisions, the hesitation that subtly holds you back. Beneath each of these fears lies something far more primal, the fear of death itself. It quietly guides your life in ways you might not even recognize, influencing relationships, career choices, and personal dreams. But what if instead of hiding from this fear, you faced it head-on? What if confronting death openly was not terrifying, but liberating? Carl Jung, the revolutionary Swiss psychologist, believed passionately in exactly this principle. To truly live, you must courageously face and fully accept the reality of your own mortality. Imagine death not as an enemy lurking in the shadows, but as a powerful teacher walking beside you. Jung taught that integrating the reality of death into your daily awareness was the key to genuine psychological freedom. By consciously accepting death as life's essential counterpart, you instantly free yourself from its hidden control. It stops being a vague, fearful specter and becomes a powerful reminder of life's urgency, beauty, and preciousness. Jung insisted death is psychologically just as significant as birth. Both represent profound transitions, doorways between different states of consciousness. From Jung's view, death is not oblivion, but a vital, meaningful transformation. To fully appreciate how profoundly transformative this understanding can be, consider Daniel, a young executive who spent years paralyzed by anxiety. He avoided relationships, delayed decisions, and shunned meaningful risks, terrified of making mistakes or experiencing loss. Yet when Daniel confronted a health scare, forced suddenly and directly to face his mortality, something remarkable happened. Instead of deepening his anxiety, facing death liberated him. Daniel vividly realized his anxieties stemmed from fearing life itself, life's inherent uncertainty, its temporary nature. Facing death openly allowed him to finally embrace life's inevitable uncertainty courageously. His anxiety vanished, replaced by a fearless determination to live passionately, authentically, and without regret. Jung would describe Daniel's transformation as integrating his shadow, the hidden fear of death, into his conscious awareness, transforming fear itself into freedom. Joseph Campbell, deeply influenced by Jung's insights, famously proclaimed, "The conquest of the fear of death is the recovery of life's joy." Campbell understood deeply what Jung taught. Fear of death robs you of life's fullness, joy, and vitality. Only by confronting death honestly and bravely can you fully embrace the extraordinary adventure of living. When you genuinely accept the inevitability of your own mortality, understanding that your subjective consciousness may indeed transcend endings, you free yourself completely from the paralysis of fear. You become liberated, courageous, genuinely alive. Jung's insights align strikingly with quantum immortality's remarkable implication. Consciousness itself endures indefinitely, constantly transitioning through states and realities. Like Jung's interpretation, quantum immortality reframes death not as termination, but as transformation. From this powerful new perspective, death itself loses its sting, becoming merely a doorway to endless new experiences. Can you imagine how fearless you'd become, how courageously you'd live, if you truly internalize this astonishing truth that consciousness continues endlessly, forever evolving? Reflect deeply now. If you genuinely believed your subjective consciousness was infinite, would anxiety still control your life? Would you hesitate another moment in pursuing your dreams, in opening yourself to authentic love and adventure? Embracing death as a meaningful transition, as Jung taught, instantly dissolves life's deepest fear. You're finally free to live boldly, deeply, and fearlessly, exactly as you were meant to. Suppose for a moment you encountered a profound thought experiment posed by philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, a concept so powerful it reshapes your entire existence. Imagine being visited by a mysterious stranger who reveals something extraordinary. You must live your current life, exactly as you've lived it so far, not once, but infinitely many times. Every joy, every sorrow, every choice, repeated forever, exactly as you've experienced them. Would you despair, weighed down by regret and longing desperately to change your past? Or would you embrace this eternal repetition joyfully, living each moment so boldly, authentically, and passionately you'd gladly relive it for eternity? Nietzsche didn't suggest literal repetition of life. Rather, he used this powerful metaphor, called the eternal recurrence, to challenge us to live authentically, to embrace each decision, each experience, each moment as if you'd willingly repeat it endlessly. It's a call to absolute courage, fearless authenticity, and complete affirmation of life. Imagine, for instance, someone trapped in a life of quiet regret, a career they despise, relationships unfulfilled, dreams unpursued. Presented with Nietzsche's scenario, they might realize starkly they've lived as if life were endless, yet unimportant. But if they truly believed their choices would echo eternally, they'd swiftly discard fear, instantly pursuing passions and dreams with absolute conviction. Eastern philosophies across millennia have echoed similar truths. Hinduism and Buddhism teach that life, death, and rebirth represent infinite cycles of continuous transformation, with consciousness enduring beyond temporary bodies and circumstances. In this tradition, death isn't a terrifying end. It's simply one transition among countless others, with consciousness infinitely evolving. From this perspective, your essential self is fundamentally immortal, indestructible, and limitless, forever transcending physical endings and new beginnings. Alan Watts, the brilliant British philosopher, offered a vivid metaphor capturing this eternal flow. Watts described life and death as waves rising and falling upon the endless ocean of existence. Individual waves, your current self, experiences, relationships, rise dramatically, yet ultimately merge back seamlessly into the ocean's endless, continuous flow. He poignantly asked, "Can you truly imagine the experience of never awakening again after sleep? You cannot. Now reverse it. Remember waking for the very first time, having never previously slept? That's your birth." Watts emphasized beautifully that consciousness itself is continuous, eternally reborn, forever evolving. These philosophical insights resonate deeply with quantum immortality's groundbreaking concept. Your subjective consciousness always finds pathways forward, eternally surviving beyond apparent endings. Both perspectives suggest an extraordinary continuity of awareness, offering profound existential freedom. When you genuinely internalize this powerful truth, that your fundamental consciousness endures endlessly, fear itself becomes irrelevant. You live courageously, passionately, and joyfully, knowing deeply that each moment is infinitely precious, yet connected eternally to countless others. Reflect honestly and vividly now. If you truly believed you would experience infinite transformations, never genuinely facing a final endpoint, how boldly would you live? Would fear still limit you, holding back decisions, relationships, or adventures? Or would you finally embrace life with complete courage, authenticity, and fearlessness? Nietzsche's challenge, Eastern philosophies, and quantum immortality converge upon one extraordinary insight. Consciousness itself is endless, infinitely expansive. Once you've fully embraced this astonishing truth, fear itself evaporates entirely. You're free to finally experience life exactly as intended, with courageous passion, fearless authenticity, and absolute joy. Now that you've glimpsed the astonishing truth of your subjective immortality, imagine vividly the fearless existence awaiting you. How would your life unfold if you fully embraced the idea that your consciousness cannot truly end, that your awareness infinitely persists, forever finding pathways forward? It's time to move beyond understanding into profound action, actively integrating this liberating perspective into your daily reality. Begin tomorrow morning with a powerful intention. Upon awakening, remind yourself clearly and passionately, "Because my consciousness continues indefinitely, today I choose fearless living." Take a few silent moments to visualize vividly how your day would unfold if fear held absolutely no power over you. What difficult conversations would you bravely initiate? Which postponed dreams would you finally pursue without hesitation? See yourself acting decisively, courageously, and authentically, precisely because you now know deeply your subjective awareness continues endlessly. Throughout your day, whenever anxiety or hesitation arises, briefly recall this powerful visualization. Ask yourself clearly, if my consciousness is indestructible, is fear truly justified? Immediately notice how quickly hesitation dissolves, replaced naturally by clarity, courage, and decisive action. Each fearless choice you make reinforces this extraordinary belief, gradually transforming theory into undeniable lived experience. To deepen this transformation, confront directly the hidden fears subtly influencing your choices. Carl Jung passionately encouraged this courageous act, calling it shadow work. Set aside quiet time regularly to openly dialogue with your fear of death, visualizing it symbolically as a wise teacher or guide. Ask gently but directly, what important lesson have you come to offer me? Listen carefully, honestly, for an insightful response. Often, your imagined death will respond compassionately, whispering truths like, I exist not to frighten you, but to awaken your urgency to live boldly now, without hesitation. Accepting this wisdom transforms fear itself into your greatest ally, guiding you toward fearless authenticity. Journaling can further illuminate hidden fears, offering profound personal clarity. Tonight, before sleep, carefully reflect upon this powerful question. If I genuinely knew my consciousness continued infinitely, how would I immediately change my life? Write openly, passionately, without hesitation or judgment. Would you leave behind unfulfilling careers, boldly embrace dreams, or finally open your heart to authentic connection? Recognizing your deepest truths instantly weakens fear's control, empowering you to live immediately, authentically, and passionately. Practice this brief daily meditation too. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and vividly imagine infinite parallel versions of you existing simultaneously. Among these countless realities, there's a version of you already courageously living your ideal existence, successful, joyful, fulfilled. Feel deeply into that version of yourself. Notice vividly how courageously they make decisions, how passionately they love, how fully they embrace life's extraordinary possibilities. Ask yourself gently, how can I align this reality with that courageous self? Each evening, gently reflect upon your day with absolute honesty, free from judgment. Did I fully honor my limitless consciousness today by living fearlessly? Celebrate courageously made decisions, lovingly accept any lingering hesitations, and reaffirm clearly your commitment to fearless living tomorrow. This compassionate self-reflection gradually integrates the astonishing truth of quantum immortality, transforming hesitation permanently into courageous authenticity. You've journeyed deeply through astonishing science, profound philosophy, transformative psychology, and practical tools, all converging powerfully upon a singular, life-changing truth. Your subjective consciousness cannot truly end. Standing now at this threshold of genuine transformation, the question becomes vividly clear. Will you finally embrace fully the extraordinary, fearless existence that awaits you? Recall again vividly the opening scene of your near-miss encounter at the intersection, the screech of tires, the blinding glare of headlights, the heart-pounding certainty of collision. Yet miraculously, impossibly, you emerged unharmed. Now you've discovered this survival wasn't mere luck. It beautifully illustrates quantum immortality itself, your awareness persistently shifting forward into survival. With this profound realization, death itself loses its fearful grip entirely. From your subjective viewpoint, death becomes not a final end, but merely an extraordinary transition into infinite new experiences. Picture once more the incredible survivors you've encountered. Frayne Selak miraculously evading death repeatedly, Liam feeling he'd awakened in a subtly altered reality, Daniel conquering lifelong anxiety through Jungian acceptance of mortality. Each life reveals a profound lesson. Genuinely confronting mortality liberates rather than paralyzes. These individuals, recognizing consciousness as endlessly resilient, emerge transformed, living fearlessly, passionately, and joyfully. They no longer allowed fear to shape their decisions, finally seizing each moment's infinite potential. Reflect honestly now. If you genuinely believed your subjective awareness could never truly cease, how differently would you live starting today? Would fear of rejection, failure, or loss still limit you? Or would you passionately embrace every dream, relationship, and possibility fearlessly, courageously, immediately? Quantum immortality isn't merely theoretical. It's a radical invitation to finally experience life precisely as intended, limitless, passionate, and infinitely courageous. Nietzsche passionately envisioned precisely this fearless existence, a life joyfully affirmed, authentically lived, worthy of eternal repetition. Alan Watts profoundly echoed this truth through powerful metaphors, life as endless ocean waves, each rising dramatically yet merging seamlessly back into infinite consciousness. Jung encouraged us deeply to embrace death openly, transforming fear into life's greatest teacher, guiding us toward authentic freedom. All these powerful insights converge clearly upon one liberating truth. Your fundamental consciousness is infinite, resilient, forever evolving. Tomorrow morning, awaken vividly aware that each heartbeat confirms your infinite survival, proof that your consciousness always persists. Remind yourself passionately, I genuinely cannot experience death, only endless transformations. Today, therefore, I choose fearless living. Act immediately upon this courageous affirmation, embracing opportunities, risks, and passions authentically and decisively. Each evening, honestly reflect, did I courageously honor my limitless consciousness today? Lovingly acknowledge fearless actions, compassionately forgive lingering hesitations, and reaffirm clearly your commitment to fearless authenticity tomorrow. Gradually, these powerful affirmations profoundly transform your lived reality, permanently dissolving fear, liberating your truest potential. Your extraordinary life story isn't something dictated by chance. It's something you actively create each day. Embrace your quantum immortality fearlessly today, courageously crafting the remarkable existence awaiting you. Death itself no longer holds fear because, from your subjective viewpoint, death genuinely never arrives. Each moment becomes infinitely precious yet limitless, charged powerfully with possibility and courage. In this quiet, transformative moment, feel again the pulse-racing memory of those screeching tires, headlights, and the impossible miracle of your survival. Recognize deeply that moment as evidence of consciousness's infinite resilience. This extraordinary insight permanently dissolves fear's control, empowering you finally to live fully, passionately, courageously, exactly as you've always wished. Your consciousness, infinitely continuing, awaits courageously your next fearless choice. Become quantum brave now, because your limitless, extraordinary life genuinely begins today.